All right. Where's the clicker? All right, I'm Michael Randle. I own media properties that do economic development in the South. So roll Tide. How many people are Alabama fans out there? None. Y'all all hate them, right? Well, we got beat last year, so that probably helps you out. All right, I own media properties that talk about economic development in the South. You know, FreightWaves just announced a 200-job project in Chattanooga, and that's what we watch. We watch any project of 200 jobs or more, or 30 million or more, and that's how I judge the economy. I'm not an economist. I speak to a lot of economists. I'm an economic development journalist. So the way we base the economy, the way we judge the economy, is based on economic development projects. All right, now what we've done here, since 1992, 1993, we have tracked every project in the South of 200 jobs or more, or 30 million or more. Again, that's how we judge the economy. If you look at the chart there, we have all total deals. We have all the deals of 200 jobs or more announced in the South from 1992 to 2004. Look at 1996. For the first time in the South's history, manufacturing lost the lead to services in deals of 200 jobs or more. That was when every manufacturer in the South was making a beeline to China. Note that went manufacturing losing to services for 11 years. Something happened in 2010. See 350 manufacturing jobs to 189 services jobs. For the first time ever, or first time in 11 years, manufacturing topped services. That was a big deal to us. Services pay a lot less than manufacturing. Look at the total deals. We peaked, if I'm looking at economic development projects as an indicator of the economy, we peaked in 2015 in this 10-year recovery. We had 730 projects meeting our thresholds. That's the number one, that's the top total ever in our 26 years of judging this economy. We only judge the South. If it's not a Southern deal, it's a bad deal. I can't go outside. I've stolen so many projects from the North to the South that I can't leave the Mason-Dixon line for fear of assassination. But you can see in 2015, 730 total, 2016, 695. We're down to 596 last year. Things are slowing. The reason why is not necessarily the economy is slowing. We're running out of people. Let me check my time. All right, so I got 15 more minutes. These are the projects that we track every year. Okay, out of those totals, these industries, okay, are leading each year. And you see distribution, which is what y'all are into, has now taken over from automotive as the leading project-driven industry sector in the South. Automotive, there's a very big concern of mine. If you look at automotive, the number 3 project, or number 3 sector, in 2015, when we peaked with 730 projects, we had 111 automotive projects of 200 jobs or more. Look where we are last year. When people aren't buying cars, the economy's slowing. We had 51. That's half of what we had in 2015. Look at distribution. The last 2 years, it's led project activity in the South. That's huge. It's huge. It means people are buying things through Amazon, whatever. All right, the consumers are still there, except one key component, and that's automotive. Look at petrochemicals. It slowed as well. Look at the 2015 total of 70, now down to 40. Aviation and aerospace is a huge part of the South's economy. Look how it's grown over the years. We're at full employment. That's the goal of any economy, to get to full employment. But full employment has problems. It means we don't have any labor. We've gone 102 months, longest consecutive monthly job gains in U.S. history. Second longest recovery period. The longest was in the 90s. If GDP rises every month until July, we will be in the longest recovery in this nation's history. Things are good, but things are bad. Like I said, we're running out of labor. For decades, we could count on 200,000 people turning 16 years old, which is the working age, according to the federal government. Working age is 16 to 64. We could count on 200,000 people turning working age for decades after World War II. The last 3 years, it's 71,000 people turning age 16 or working age. Next year, okay, it'll probably be in the 60s. By 2028, it's going to be 50,000 people turning working age. What's the problem? Millennials are not having kids. They don't think they can afford them. So it's not politics that we're talking about here, it's demography. Okay, if you make any of this data political, you're wrong. We cannot replace the baby boomer generation. We cannot replace those workers that are aging out. That's a huge problem. Huge. So if we're averaging 185,000 jobs a month, and I think what was last month, 263 or something? And we got 50,000 people turning working age per month, doesn't compute, right? How can you create 185,000 jobs a month on average for the last however many years when only 50,000 people are coming into the workforce? And then you hear all this noise, but 95 million Americans, okay, are outside the workforce. That's bullshit. Okay, look at who's outside the workforce. Family caretakers, disabled, college students. Remember, the feds count anybody 16 years or older in the workforce. College students, 20.5 million. That doesn't even count, okay, the guy that's failed the 9th grade 4 times and he's still in the 9th grade and he drives a Camaro and has a beard. Okay? It doesn't even count the high school students, 44 million retirees before 64 years old. And what does it count? I mean, it doesn't even count the mentally ill or the drug addicted. So really, of the 92.9 million of the 95 million that are outside the workforce, 93 million have a reason not to work. nations that die cannot replace their workforce. This is how they do it. Your taxes, my taxes, are paying for my parents' Social Security right now. It's generational. Okay? You don't have a nice little account in your name with Social Security and Medicare or whatever benefits that you get later on in life. You don't have an account. If there are less workers 10 years from now than there are now, there's less going into the benefit pool. So because our fertility rate has fallen so far over the last decade, we're in deep trouble. So what are the answers? By the way, worker participation. Some people say, well, there's so many people on welfare and all that. Our worker participation rate, okay, is about average. Right now it's over 64%. The highest was in 1999 during that last great economy. So it's not worker participation. So what do? We got three choices. We can accept slower growth because you've got 50,000 people coming into the workforce and we're creating 200,000 jobs a month. That doesn't work, okay? Doesn't work. Or we can embrace immigration. And you can say, oh, well, that's controversial. It's not. Legal immigration is critical for this economy. President Trump said so in his State of the Union address. But he said it had to be legal immigration. He said that immigrants enrich our economy vastly, and they do. We get about 1 million in a year. For us to solve this problem, we need to bring in 3 million a year. Japan, all the developed nations in the country or in the world are having the same problem. The fertility rates have just dropped dramatically everywhere. Who remembers Japan's lost decade? Nobody? That was in the 90s. What happened? They ran out of labor. What did they do? They did an internship with China where they brought in 5 million people a year. Those people could work in Japan for 5 years. Then they had to leave. Then they brought 5 million more. And 5 million more. And now their economy is doing great. Or you can subsidize fertility. That's kind of costly. Right now, when you have a child, you get $2,000. It should be $10,000. In other words, you millennials that are at childbearing age, I mean, get to work, man. I mean, what the hell are you doing? We need people. Period. That's our biggest problem. This is what Paul Ryan said. This is going to be the new economic challenge for America. People, we need to have higher birth rates in this country. This is the last statement he made before leaving office. We need more people to add to the workforce. And I agree with Trump. We need to build that damn wall to keep the people in this country. Again, it's a lack of labor that's creating a situation where less economic deals are being announced. I mean, what are we at? 3.6% unemployment? That's beyond full employment. I mean, we got people who are working who don't even want to work. I mean, think about that. And the reason why is, if their family was getting $40,000 from the federal government, but yet they found a job that can bring in $50,000, they take that job. So that's the biggest issue in economic development right now is we cannot find people. Okay, what's happening is when you have an economic development project, if it's paying more than what the people are being paid at another place, they move to that job, but the company that they move from cannot find a replacement for that job. And again, we've got three choices: embrace immigration, subsidize fertility, or accept slower growth. Because you can't have economic development without people. Just ask the officials in Connecticut, in Illinois, and other places that are losing population by the tens of thousands every year. However, something about the baby bust. We are in a baby bust. Last year was record low fertility rate. And this will have ramifications for decades to come. Decades. So you can't find skilled labor. The reason why you can't find skilled labor is everyone that has skills has a job. So what's the real crisis? The real crisis are these mass deportations of unskilled labor. There's not a farmer in this country that says, hey, I need less undocumented workers. Not one farmer will say that to you. So the crisis is not going to be skilled labor. The crisis is going to be a lack of unskilled labor. How many people in this room know who's going to change their bedpan when you get old? That's an unskilled labor or laborer. Farms, construction workers. Trump wants to build a wall. Well, he's going to need half of the construction workers in Texas are undocumented. So undocumented Mexican workers are going to get to build a wall to keep out undocumented Mexicans. Look, this is data. I mean, it's real. Okay? They're here. How many people, and is there an immigration agent in here? How many people have paid an undocumented worker? There must be an immigration agent in here. I pay them every week. All right, so you can't find skilled labor. We know that. The crisis is going to be unskilled labor. Okay, how can all this lack of labor be freed up? Jobs lost to automation. We've already lost 5 million just in the last 5 years. You don't know it, okay, because it's not really reported. But look at 40% of current jobs may be lost to automation by 2040. That will free up our labor. And we'll see if that happens. And I'm out of time. Thank y'all very much, and roll Tide.